Okay, fine. So listen, in this week's parsha we have Maamad Har Sinai. So the Ramban in the end of the Sefer HaMitzvahs of the Rambam gives, in his opinion, mitzvahs that the Rambam forgot. He has criticisms on the whole Sefer HaMitzvahs, and he has also what he feels mitzvahs. That's our opening page. This one over here, mitzvahs sheshachach osam, right? Right, the mitzvahs that the Rambam forgot from mitzvahs lo saseh. We're in mitzvah bays. Shenimnanu, we are forbidden. Shalom nishkach Maamad Har Sinai. We should never forget Maamad Har Sinai. V'lo nasar samidatenu. We should never remove it from our thoughts. Abuyeh einenu mitzvah bays. And the Ramban. Einenu v'libeinu sham kol yom. We should have our eyes and hearts there always. It should always be on our mind. Maamad Har Sinai. And this is what God said. Right, guard yourself, lest you forget what you saw with your own eyes, referring to Mount Sinai. Lest they stray from your heart. Right. Mefurish to never forget Maamad Har Sinai. Of course, what the significance of this mitzvah is very great. Let's say God would have commanded us the Torah through a prophet without all the fanfare of Maamad Har Sinai. Even if, let's say, that Navi would have substantiated his status as a Navi with the requisite signs and miracles that he has to do, which in halakha is really not much. He only has to predict the future accurately a few times. All right, so let's say that God would have given the Torah that way, without the whole fanfare of Maamad Har Sinai. So subsequently, if a Navi or a dreamer would arise in any future time, and he would command us to do something that's opposing to the Torah. And it also duplicate the conditions of the first guy. He'd be just as, have just as good of a track record as the guy that first gave us the Torah. Right? Our Torah will be won over by the other guy. Or at least we'd be in doubt. But since the Torah was explained to us from God's mouth himself, and we saw it, we heard it with our ears, and we saw it with our eyes, right? And there was no in-between us and God, at the time of Matan Torah. So nachish kol cholek v'chol misapek. So anyone who argues, anyone who wants to, put doubt, our Torah lo yoilu os v'lo yatzilo mi'adenu moves. He won't be able to be helped by any type of sign, and he won't be saved by doing any miracle. Because we ourselves attest that he must be a liar and he must be frivolous. Zehu shenemar b'Maamad, and this is what it says over there in that great event. And Maamad Har Sinai, gam b'cha yaminu la'olam pasuk parsha, because Am Yisrael seeing the Maamad Har Sinai is going to believe, they're going to believe in you, Moshe Rabbeinu, forever. V'yin habo b'parshas kiyok b'kibcha novi o choim chalam in Israel. What it says in parshas, I do believe this is in parshas Re'eh, right? That if anyone will come, a Navi will come and try to contradict the Torah, we're not going to listen to him. Why are we not going to listen to him? Because we know that what we got through Moshe Rabbeinu is the real deal, because it wasn't built on Moshe Rabbeinu doing a miracle that someone else could compete with. We heard it from God directly. So no one could ever contradict the Torah that we got through Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? Now even the Rambam explained this in Sefer Hamada, and there's a very big foundation of the Torah. Via Menia Haba Lanu Pasuk, and this is the Lo Sase that we get from the pasuk of lest you forget the things Asheroi Necha that you saw. Vizer Penyasur Min Alev Miodatam Vanechel Vechel Doros Olam, and we were warned that it should not stray from our heart. We should let them make them aware, right? Inform them to our children, and to all the generations. Now don't make a mistake because of the drasha that they make in the first parak of Kiddushin. That Chazal learned from this same pasuk that you have a chiyuv to teach your grandchildren Torah, not just your son. It's also from this pasuk V'odatem Vanecha U'Lebnei Vanecha, that seemingly that drasha and kiddushin is taking this pasuk out of the context of Maamad Har Sinai and putting it in the context of just general limud Torah. You even chayav to teach your grandchildren Torah. Ki limud emunas Torah hu limud b'Torah, because it's not a contradiction, because teaching the emunah that Torah is emes because of Maamad Har Sinai, that's also implicit in limud Torah. Avonitbonem v'nikach raya ki mitzvah olamis v'im kol dars yidara below yishkach yimanhu shel kol echad lemarit einem v'shmiat oznem v'shiatiku zem midor dor. We have to again bring a proof, and this is definitely a eternal mitzvah, right? And that we should not, that we should never forget this great event, and which was something which was actually first-hand account, and we have to bring it from generation to generation. It's also mitzvah zachar balach skdos v'arav shachar. Now the balach skdos that the Rambam wrote the Sefer Mitzvahs against, he actually mentions this mitzvah of never forgetting Maamad Har Sinai, but the Rambam does not have it in his list of the Taryag. All right, so the Megillas Esther is a later day Rishon in the next column. That
so this is the Rambam.
This is the Ramban attacking the Rambam for forgetting to put this in his list of the Taryag mitzvahs. Mm-hmm. A mitzvah of to never forget Maamad Har Sinai. All right. It says, how could the Rambam disagree in the importance of the issue? The simple meaning of the pasuk, and which says do not forget, and also the great importance which the Rambam himself mentions in his writings, that no one could ever contradict the Torah, because even if he splits the Pacific Ocean, because we know that the Torah it came directly from God. It wasn't that Moshe Rabbeinu did a big miracle that someone else could do a competing miracle. Right? It was direct. We heard it from God. We saw it. That's why Torah had to be given with the fanfare of Maamad Har Sinai. So the Rambam admits to the principle it should be. So why is he not counted as a mitzvah bifnei atzma? That is the question. All right. So now the Megillas Esther, who's a very much later day Rishon, tries to defend the Rambam against the criticisms of the Ramban. So he writes in the parallel column, Mitzvah Beis. Nearly, Mashalomana Rav Ulafisha Gamzos he mitzvah kolelas kol Torah kula. Right, I am going to say that the reason why the Rambam did not count this is because this is a mitzvah that's kolel kol Torah kula. The Rambam, for vexation, the Rambam in the beginning of Sefer Mitzvahs laid down 14 criteria as to what qualifies to be counted as a mitzvah and what not. All right, so one of them is in the Shorosh Haravi, in the fourth principle. He says all these psukim say visem kedoshim, serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all these things, vanshei kodesh tiyunli, all these things you don't count, all right? Because it's a sachakol saying keep the law. So at tzivui to keep the law, so he calls it something that's kolel kol Torah kula. You don't count that because it's not being mechadish anything new. It's just saying keep the Torah. Mm-hmm. Right, so the Megillas Esther is trying to taina that Maamad Har Sinai is basically like one of those tzivuyim of just stam, uphold the law. That doesn't get counted as on its own because it's not specific to anything. It's just it's talking about upholding the whole Torah. It's mitzvah koles kol Torah kula. We should not forget what we saw. The hainu in Torah kula, that refers to the whole Torah is nichlal in that. So it's like he wants to. It's like a pasuk of yisem kedoshim. Just keep the Torah because it goes. It's not mitzvah anything specific, right? We're going to show that that's not the case. We should just go in the ways of the Torah and we should uphold its mitzvahs. כשלא תשכחו סם ותעשו המיתה הזאת תחשבו חכמים ונבונים ואם תארו מתוך שכחה תחשבו שייתם. Right, so Rashi also on that pasuk which the Ramban quoted of don't forget things. So Rashi says because if you remember you'll do them. Whereas if you forget it and people ask you why you're doing the mitzvahs, you're going to look like stupid people because you're not going to really understand, not going to answer them coherently. So you see that Rashi understands the pasuk that you need to remember Maamad Har Sinai in order to be serious about observing the mitzvahs. So therefore it is like a pasuk of Visem Kedoshim or Anshe Kodesh Tiyunli. Stam, uphold the law. Right? Umasha Amar. Right. So this lav is said being on basically on being Mekayim the whole Torah. Mashinem Arba Rabban Kidosh Begushim Bagdaso V'Nechol Ibud Barim Pirshu Lame Lema Maamad Ahu Nearly She'ain Zeh B'Mashim Amor Rakaz Kamoshe Near Bir Shon Shepashua Limud Atar B'Nei Banim, and that which the Ramban tried to get out and say that Gemara in Kiddushin, that from that pasuk we learn out teaching Torah to your grandchildren. No. You know, the Ramban is the one who's taking that Gemara out of context, saying, well, teaching Torah to your grandchildren includes teaching them about Maamad Ar Sinai. You read over there, it's talking about Limud Atar, the Yechayiv to teach your grandchildren, Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, and Baba Basra. The Limud, the Chiyav of teaching Torah to your son is that he has priority. But after your own son comes the Chiyav to teach it to your grandson. So that's the approach to the Megillas Esther. So I will demonstrate that the Megillas Esther's teretz doesn't work. So if you take a look, the next thing is the Rambam in the Sefer on Mitzvahs, Mitzvah Hay. Right?
Ramban or Ram?
So I'm now going to argue on the Megillas Esther. I'm going to argue on the Megillas Esther and show that his teretz to stand up for the Rambam does not work. All right, Mitzvah Hay, Mitzvah Saseh Hay. Who should show love that we are commanded to serve God? And this now, this pasuk is repeated multiple times in the Torah. Right, serve Hashem. Another pasuk says, "Vosel ta'avodu," and him serve. Now, even though you might ask that, hey, a pasuk of serve God, isn't that like a tzivui kolel, which refers to the whole Torah? Right, so it shouldn't be counted as a specific mitzvah. Hine yesh bo yichud. No, it has something specific. Achar shu tzivui litfila, because it also is machayev you in tefillah. Because from all the other psukim in the Torah, we don't have a directive to daven. Chazal, the Rambam is the Ramban argues. This is a famous machlokas. Rambam and Ramban is tefillah midoraisa. The Rambam holds there's a chiyuv tefillah. That means even back in the days of yore, when we used to bring korbanos, they still had to daven midoraisa.
Rambam lived around 1100, and Ramban with a nun around 1200, right?
Yeah, they're only about a generation apart.
That's more than a generation.
Well, I mean, the Ramban made references, Rabbeinu Avram ben Rambam, who we will quote in just a few minutes. He references as if he's still alive, and that was the Rambam's son. So, I mean, it could have been, I guess it could have been the Rambam's grandson, okay, but he was alive at the same time as Rabbeinu Avram ben Rambam. Okay. He's about, generation and a half later, yes. Okay, so now, look, so here's a very big, so step number one, my first issue with the Megillas Esther is based on this Rambam over here. The Rambam said that which I don't count a mitzvah that's kol Torah kol, meaning a mitzvah like be frum. I won't count it as a separate mitzvah. That's if it's not going to be machayev anything specific. Mm-hmm. But like also ta'avodu, which you say, well, that's called Torah kula. We serve God with whatever we do. No, but it's machayev something specific, i.e., right, tefillah. So I could make the same argument over here that the Megillas Esther's proposition, right? That Rambam's not counting Maamad because kol Torah kula, but fine, but it's machayev something specific to never forget the Sinaitic event. That was what Rambam said. Rambam over here is qualifying it. That which he meant in Shorish Dalet is where it's just telling you uphold the law. All right, that's something that I don't count. But if there's anything specific that comes from that pasuk, now it has to be counted for this specific thing that it is machayev. All right. So if being on the way, the Rambam qualifies his principle of not counting mitzvah kol Torah, so the Ramban's, the Megillas Esther's proposition doesn't work because these psukim are machayev something specific. In addition to take the Torah seriously, they're machayev to remember and not forget Maamad Ar Sinai.
It's being counted as mitzvah to do tefillah. It's not being counted as a mitzvah to do the whole Torah kula.
Right, and that's also there. We'd count that lo saseh as don't forget Maamad Ar Sinai. That's okay. So, but I have that is kasha number one. Kasha number two is that the Rambam wrote an Igeres Teiman. He wrote the famous letter, the letter to the Yemenite community.
Well, you got them in order.
How did you
know the order? Oh,
right. He saw I stacked them up, 3 like this, 3 like that. 3. Uh-huh. He figured it out. Yeah, great. Japanese artist. Humble. Okay. Right. Anyway. All right. So now this is a letter that the Rambam wrote to the Yemen community. Okay, it's a very long letter, but But part of this letter is, all right. We're in the top paragraph, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 lines from the top, middle of the line. V'zichru Maamad Har Sinai. You see it?
Yeah, it says 5.
Right.
Life is simple.
Right. Exactly. V'zichru Maamad Har Sinai, and always he's writing this to the Yemenite community. Remember Maamad Har Sinai. Asher Tzivon Hashem, God commanded us to remember it constantly. V'ziron Shalom, God forbade us from forgetting it. And command us to teach Maamad Har Sinai to our children until they grow up, being fully, aware, being fully indoctrinated, I guess you'd say, on it. And this is what God said. Right, you should watch yourself, guard yourself, lest you forget those things that you saw with your own eyes, lest they stray from your heart all the days of your life, and make them aware to your children the day you stood before HaKadosh Baruch Hu on, in Chorev, in Har Sinai. You should raise your children on and always graphically depict, this great event. But you should always recount in every gathering, mention Maamad Har Sinai and how great it is and how great it was. Because it's the center point of the religion. It's the Tana Mevil Emes, and it is the Taina, right, that brings us to the truth, meaning that makes us aware that the Torah is true. And always praise and always exalt this great event. Right, as God Himself praised that event, as the pasuk says, it's the end of the Torah at the end of Sefer Dvarim. If you ask any nation if they ever had anything like this of hearing God speak from the fire, this could have been copied right out of the Ramban. This is almost all the words. We're chayav to remember it. It's isser to forget it, and he touches up the psukim exactly like the Ramban. All right. So seemingly there's no machlokes. So why did the Rambam not count it? The Rambam totally agrees with the Ramban. This shtickle could have been copied right out of the Ramban that we opened up with. Right? And it's marsh the Rambam's words. The Megillah Esther obviously did not see this Igeres Teiman.
Saying that it's a mitzvah to learn to daven doesn't exclude the fact that it still says remember it and pay attention to it in the Torah.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily therefore also a mitzvah. And here is quoting the non-mitzvah part, but that you have to do it.
No.
When you learn out something from the Torah and you learn out what to do, it doesn't include the fact that from a dot, from a letter, it doesn't exclude what the whole pasuk is saying. That we say, oh no, we can't learn what the pasuk is saying. The pasuk is still saying
what it's saying.
Which
is the way the Ramban deals with it. So even though Chazal darshan on Talmud Torah, still the pasuk is not.
It doesn't have to mean you count it as a mitzvah.
Okay,
as one of the mitzvahs.
So the question is, why not? Why did the Rambam not count it? He agrees that there's a specific chiyuv. He says it to the Yemen community. We were commanded to remember. We were asked to forget. And this should everyone always talk about Maamad Har Sinai. Every gathering, and raise your kids on Maamad Har Sinai. Learn the psukim the same way like the Ramban.
In believing in Hashem.
Okay. I have a slightly more controversial approach. Okay. Okay, great. A more controversial approach. So I would like you to Harivash. Okay. So, but I underline what I want you to see. So I'm gonna pose the following chakira, a radical chakira. Right. It's a lumdish chakira, but it's hashkafik one. Also, why do we have to keep the Torah? What obligates us? Was it Naaseh v'nishma? That because our forefathers, as it were, for lack of a better word, they fell for it. What? Oh, very good, very good. We're going to get there. Now, listen, is it Naaseh v'nishma? And if it's Naaseh v'nishma, so the famous Gemara in Shabbos, God held the mountain over like a barrel. Also, right. So So, and the Gemara says, well, if it's Na'aseh v'nishma, we were sort of forced into it. And this is the way Tosfos understands it. Even though they said Na'aseh v'nishma first, maybe they wanted to back out, so God had to force them. And if so, it's looks like a very serious question on the validity of why we're really chayav in Torah, because it's given under duress. So, Hadar kiblo b'me'ach hashveirosh. Right? Now, of course, you have to understand, that it just looks that way, but it could be that Am Yisrael never wanted to back out, and God held the mountain over them anyway, right? But here's the question: is Na'aseh v'nishma the reason why we have to keep Torah? Like before Maamad Sinai, we were like the Bnei Noach, right? God came again with more rules, right? And we said Na'aseh is Na'aseh v'nishma the reason why we have to keep Torah, or Na'aseh v'nishma it's just very nice that we were willing to accept the Torah, and Chazal give us credit for it, that every other nation wants to know what's written, and they rejected it. And we didn't ask any questions. We immediately said Na'aseh v'nishma, but it's not the reason why we have to keep Torah.
What's the Havamida Na'aseh v'nishma is not the reason?
You might think so, but I'll tell you what the other side is, right? The other side could be something like this. That Torah is a compelling truth that you have, but basically synonymous with reality itself, and you have no choice but keep the Torah, whether you want to or not. Mashal l'ma davar doma, the law of gravity. So let's say Donald gives an executive order overturning the law of gravity, right? Right. What? It's coming next, right? Right. Overturn the law of gravity, right? Right. So, all right, and he gets Congress behind him, right? No, we don't hold from gravity anymore. We are repealing gravity. Repealing the law of gravity. Right? Okay. So, and it gets the popular vote also. Right? Everything. Right? Executive order, repealing of gravity, and the popular vote also is against gravity. Can you now fly?
No.
Why?
But it's completely different.
We have to do the Torah, we have to do the mitzvahs. It's a good thing to do it, it's the right thing. We're only chayiv if it falls on us. The Na'aseh v'nishma makes it that we therefore get punished for not listening instead of not just the schar.
Well, it could be it's a reality. Like, listen, you disobey the law of gravity, right? So now you will get hurt. There will be consequences.
Hashem is still choosing us, has to still choose us in this thing. So
Right.
It's not like from Shesha Mei Breishis, there's even from Ma'aseh Breishis, there's an option of us not getting it in theory. Because we're being chosen and asking everybody else.
Yeah, but you also know another chazal of istako boraiso bora'am. It means Torah is even more real than physical reality. Reality was patterned after the Torah, and that means someone's going to have to keep the Torah.
Not all the psukim that it says, not every word that it says in the pasuk, but the general.
And not only that, I'll bring another thing. That for the continuation of that same Gemara of Kaflim Har Kagigas, there's another lashon in Chazal that implies what I'm saying. Because God said, if you don't receive the Torah, I'm going to bring the world back to Tov Vavo. Not just I'm going to bury you alive. Mashma that if no one receives the Torah, right, there's no reality. So Torah is even more real than the law of gravity. It could be just a self-evident, incontrovertible truth, like natural law, like the law of gravity, and also the consequences. Right? If you try to go against the law of gravity, it'll hurt. You will fall and you'll break your leg, and that's why if you go against the Torah, right, you will suffer. You will suffer the consequences, which are the natural outcome of violating natural law.
Sure, but why else does it say Zachar Mishal Sakanshe if not for us to keep it?
No, you have to keep the Torah, just like everyone has to live with the law of gravity. Right?
So how are you differentiating?
No. It's not our acceptance that made it binding. It is a self-evident truth that we are bound by.
That's where you're going.
And just Na'aseh v'nishma is just the shevach of Am Yisrael that were good, trusting people, but it's not the legal mechanism that made us obligated to keep the Torah.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, these are the two sides of the Chakira, right? And so that's like this. Maamad Sinai, it shows that it's true, right? And Na'aseh v'nishma, we accepted it. Mm-hmm. Which one is the binding? Which one makes Torah obligatory, and the other one is just very nice. So Torah is obligatory because Na'aseh v'nishma, but we could be relieved that we did a good deal because we saw Maamad Sinai and we know we got the real stuff and not a bill of goods that Moshe Rabbeinu made up? Or is it the other way around? Maamad Sinai makes it that the Torah is a self-evident, incontrovertible truth, like the law of gravity. There does not exist an option of not keeping it, but still, Am Yisrael gets credit that they didn't ask any questions and they accepted the Torah anyway, but that's not the reason why we have to keep the Torah.
So the Chazal that he went around, that Hashem went around to all the nations, is a
Right.
pro forma thing that it was never really an option. It was pretend. It's a pretend that they.
But if it was a truth like gravity, then the guy would also have to keep it.
No, because
It only applies to us.
no, only to one
It
nation.
only applies to us. The thing is that, well, then why did Hashem go around to all the nations to offer it?
Right.
Why did
Okay.
God?
Okay. All right, now look.
show
Now
themselves
look.
that they
Now
can
we
see
could show
it,
Chazal's.
Even though they're not getting
We could be
them
here.
themselves to know that they were saying no, not.
All right. So listen. Now we could be here. There are Chazals that are mashma this way. Chazals are mashma that way. All right. And of course, they're all true because even if let's say the binding mechanism is this, but we're still such good people for not asking any questions anyway, and vice versa. Even if the binding mechanism is nasav and nishma, but still God reassured us that
Okay.
we did a good deal.
Good,
All right.
but
All right, fine. Okay, so here. So we have over here in the Chuvas Rivash, Siman Shin Tzadi Tes. I underlined what I want over here. He brings a Ramban. Now this whole Chuva is about oaths and vows and takonas of the tzibur. You know, when people legislate or voluntarily on, what you're chayav to keep, what not. And the Ramban had, prior to the Rivash is like a Talmud of the Ran. Okay, so the Ramban lived 2 or 3 generations earlier. The Ramban had his own little piece on this called the Mishpat HaCheren. So when they make it, the Rabbah, the Rav, and then the council, the Vad of the Shul makes a takana, why do you have to keep it? Well, what obligates? So an agav that is a whole thing of takanas, what makes a takana binding? Is it like a letter? Is it like a shvua? And that's the topic. So what interests me over here is these 3 lines. Kosav Ramban Zal. Mishpat HaCherem. So the Ramban already wrote in his piece on this topic that the Rivash is being done on. In Mishpat HaCherem it's called. It's printed at the end of the Chidushei Ramban in some editions. Okay? Right?
This is the.
Same Ramban. The Ramban. This is the Ramban.
So this is Mishpat.
No. Mishpat HaCherem, this is his Hasaga Sefer Mitzvah. Mishpat HaCherem is, I said, printed at the end of the Chidushei Ramban in some editions.
He's quoting a different one.
He's quoting a that's right. He's quoting a Mishpat HaCherem. So he writes a din like this, which is the reason why we're stuck with kitnius and things like that, as he's about to explain. Why can't we get rid of kitnius? So he says like this: Shekenan din, bekol kabal sarabim, shachar lehem val zaram. Anytime a tzibur accepts something upon themselves, it is not just on the tzibur; it automatically kicks in for all their descendants if they do it as a tzibur. Once they do it as a tzibur, it becomes eternal for their children afterwards. Kedashkam beKabbalah Satorah, like we find by Kabbalah Satorah. V'chein b'Megillah o b'Tzal, so that's also the mechanism of Megillas Esther. Why the people of Shushan, of that generation, they loved the idea, so they accepted Mikra Megillah. Once Am Yisrael does something as a tzibur, a new mechanism kicks up. It's national, and since it's national, it's for all generations. So he says the prototype was Kabbalah Satorah. So he said Nasa, so they said, not me. No, but they said it as a tzibur. Once they said it as a tzibur, it becomes on all generations, and that's how it worked by Megillah, and that's how it works by also the fast days. The tzomot is there's a takon of that door. Sometimes it was just the door accepted upon themselves voluntarily, but once they do it as something, a Kabbalah as a tzibur, kicks in for all generations. But what's the prototype? What's the precedent? Textbook example is Kabbalah Satorah. That's what he writes. Mashma, Nasev and Nishma is the reason why we're chayav to keep Torah for all generations, because we accept the Torah as a nation, and then it also becomes national, then it becomes for all generations, and then later in history they did it by Megillah, and they did it by it's almost black on white in the Ramban that we're chayav to keep Torah because of Nasev and Nishma. And from there we learn out every time a tzibur is makabel, something is a tzibur, it's forever. And that's why we're stuck with kitnius, because in that generation it was communal, as a community. They stopped eating kitnius.
The fast days.
The fast days. Right. Okay. So, so the Ramban.
But the kidneys just don't stay on it at all, but it's just interesting because it's only for certain segments of the population.
Yeah, but the thing is, they did it as Ashkenazim.
Okay.
And that's the problem. That's why we can't get rid of it. What?
Gotta try.
What? Right.
We can't fix it, we can't reverse it here.
No, that's what he's saying. That's why we're stuck with it.
At least I don't have Gebrox. You do.
And I don't, we don't.
No, so that's it seems that what you do as a community, so it becomes binding to all the descendants also, as opposed to it's like an individual thing. A descendant is not bound by what his father took on as an individual. Right? Yeah, they like it. Is it good? Is it good? Anyway, but we're going to contrast that with the Maharal. There's a yes, Maharal Sefer Or Chadash. We're going to contrast that with the Maharal. And the Maharal first brings the Gemara of Kaflim Har Kegigis and the Tosfos that wants to work it out. Hey, they said Naasav and Ishma already. Well, they wanted to back out maybe because they saw the great fire. So first the Maharal tries to build up Tosfos that takes that Gemara literally as if that whole Gemara is predicated on the idea that Naasav and Ishma is why we have to keep Torah, and then we have a serious problem, but we could time it was duress. And it wasn't a real acquiescence, and therefore you need Purim, Hadar Kiblua. Right. So the first part, until the part that I underlined, is the Ramban trying to work it out according to Tosfos and like the Ramban that we just saw in the Rivash. But the Maharal from the word Vahanira is underlined. I underlined the word Vahanira. Vahanira. So there's the Hakdama of the Maharal or the Maharal Sefer on Purim. So he opens up the Hakdama with the famous Gemara that Purim was a re-acceptance of the Torah. Then in his Hakdama. So the Maharal says like this: V'hanira, and what it seems to me, Ki lo yuchaz b'hem klal, right? Am Yisrael never wanted to back out for after they said Naasav and Nishma. Uma shikshu b'Tosfos lama kaflim har kegigis harei kvar ikdimu Naasav and Nishma. So now Tosfos, so Tosfos kasha. What did you even need? Kaflim har kegigis. They said Naasav and Nishma the day before. They said Naasav and Nishma on erev Shavuos. So what do you need? Kaflim har kegigis. Davar zeh b'plei ki ator shayel Yisrael. Kiyum ba kiyumam, because the Torah that God gave Am Yisrael is the kiyum of the world itself. It's not something optional. It's kiyum ha'olam. It is what holds the world. The K'mosh Amar, and it's like the other Gemara that goes later in the in that same Daf Gemara. In Mekayim Torah Mudav, you uphold Torah fine. V'im lav achzir sa'olam l'tov vavo. If you keep the Torah fine. If not, I will bring the world back to tov vavo. Right. V'im kain, and if so, that being the case, the Torah is obligatory and it's must. It is a perforce truth, right? It's not optional. Who cares that they were makabel Torah and they said Naasav and Nishma? God gave the Torah to the Jewish people in line of what Torah in itself is. Since Torah is a perforce truth. That's why also that's why God forced the Torah on Am Yisrael. Because Torah, to show them that Torah is not optional. It's not bad. It is not bad. It's like the law of gravity. It is a perforce truth. What's going on?
He's not troubling upstairs. He usually comes down times that he would come down in another 5-10 minutes. So then if he knows the bell, he'll come down.
What? Okay. She'im eina Torah ha'olam chorei, because if there's no Torah, then the whole world becomes desolate. Now that which the Gemara said, hey, this is about they could taina duress. The sof kevan shaya tar bechrek davar zeine mod rabbi vech lo ye Kaflem har kegigis kiomu ki atora ena muchrachas umuchuyeves bolam rak sheba ator leolam b'shul sharatzu ba yisrael shemekavos abidaitam ve'eno davar muchrach ve'ena davar kach ki ator hi mechuyeves behechrech v'im lo yator hayachol zom letov avo v'kfi ma sheyator batzav kachi kabbalasa sheyichrich osam al zeh. Right? So he says that even though it doesn't look nice, and Am Yisrael, had the mountain held over them, but it just stam doesn't look nice. But it makes no difference. The Torah had to be given by force. Nasiv and Nishma is not the point, because Torah had to be given by force to teach you that the Torah is not optional. There's no such thing as life without Torah, because without Torah there's no life at all. So Torah is not optional. So even though he said Nasa Nishma, that's all nice, and because Nasa Nishma looks nice, Koflem Har Kegigis looks not nice, but it makes no difference. The reality is that the real giving of the Torah, which was the next day after Nasa Nishma, right? The real giving of the Torah the next day was by force, because that's what the Torah is. Torah is a per force.
So we're saying everyone holds Kafalem Hakis, Hashem really took a mountain, or are we saying that because Tail of Avayu, we're going to put the word back, that's as if Kafalem Hakis, and that's what it means, Kafalem Hakis, Tail of Avayu.
No. However you understand Kafalem Har Kegigis, however you understand it, right? It's not.
It's synonymous with put the Tail of Avayu.
That's right. That's what the Mara. So that's right.
It's the same word. So do we say that?
No. So he wants it. So the Mara wants to put those two agadatas together, make them shtim, and say not to learn them separately, learn them together. That God is forcing the Torah on you to teach you that Torah is a.
So there are either people that say they didn't Kafalem Hakis.
Oh, that it's not literal?
And that's not literal, and it's just the island will go back to Tavafayu, which is equal to.
I mean, you could say that, but philosophically they're not two separate messages. Says the Maral, they are one and the same. To teach you, there is no such thing as life without Torah. So, an optional truth means that you could move forward this path or that path, right? Okay. Torah's not an optional, so therefore Nasiv and Ishma is really insignificant. Because it's not by choice. It's not by choice. By choice means life could go ahead either way. It can't go either way.
613 commandments or suggestions.
All right. So it's not suggestions. It is life itself, and there is no option of existing without Torah.
Okay.
All right. So he's saying this. So Nasiv Ishma is not the reason why we keep the Torah, right? The Maamad our Sinai and all implicit therein is the reason why we have to keep the Torah. Nasiv Nishma is just the Shevach of Am Yisrael. Now, we could stop where we are, but in the continuation, he gives his famous second shot that by Kodesh Baruch Hu giving to us by force, it's like he raped us, and by rape it says, what does Pasuk say? Lo yuchal l'shalcha kol yamav, and that's why God can never exchange us for another nation. So it was for our benefit that He gave it to us by force. It's like we're raped. All right, okay. So now this, right? That's in the Hemshech. What?
That's why we left.
But he has a written down.
So where does it say that here?
That's in the Hemshech. I just want to.
You have a pen?
Oh, I don't know.
Now we can't leave.
It's the next few lines. It gives just adding that Kafar Margidis. I think he even substantiates it with a medrash. That's why God is not allowed to dump us for the Christians. He's not allowed to. He would be breaking His own rules because by Re lo yachal shalcha kol yamav. No. So that's in the Hemshech. So here's the thing. Okay. So now I have clearly shown you, I think, right, that the Ramban holds that Nasiv and Nishma is the reason why we have to keep the Torah. Maamad our Sinai, therefore, is just the sign that you did a good deal and you bought into the truth. You didn't buy into sheker, right? The Maral, on the other hand, seems to hold from what we just read, right, that Nasiv and Nishma is not the reason why we have to keep Torah. Nasiv and Nishma is just how Am Yisrael is a wonderful nation that doesn't question God, but Torah is a per force truth, right? That Right, that it's just an undeniable truth, and there's no two sides to the issue, and therefore it can't be optional of you're makabel, not makabel, because there's no two sides to the issue.
Gotcha.
Right. So now I want to tell you the nafkamina is like this: whether you could count Maamad, remembering Maamad Har Sinai as a mitzvah bifnei atzma, right? All right, like the Ramban who does count it as its own mitzvah. Right? The pshat is like this. You are obligated to keep Torah because of Naaseh v'Nishma. Right? That's what obligates you. Right? And so therefore you can understand that Maamad says is another thing you have to do. If the Rambam holds like the Maharal, right, that the whole reason why you observe Torah is because of Maamad Har Sinai, so as much as it's obligatory to remember it and never forget it, it cannot be counted as one of the Taryag mitzvahs because it is a meta mitzvah. It is the yesod that enables all the Taryag. Meaning that it cannot be it is like, well, I'm not saying the kol Torah, I'm saying a different svara. It is a meta mitzvah. Matter of fact, this svara is posited by the Ramban in a different context, in why the Baal HaChazal never counts the mitzvah that there's a mitzvah to believe in God. Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Now the Baal HaChazal never counted that mitzvah, which is the Rambam's first mitzvah, the Sefer HaMitzvahs, believe in God. Right? So now, of course, you can't say that the Kohen Baal you don't have to believe in God. Right? So why do you count Anochi Hashem Elokecha, the basic mitzvah to believe that there's God? So says the Ramban, right, in defending the Baal, it can't be counted as a mitzvah because it is a principle that comes before all the mitzvahs. You can't believe that there's a mitzvah before you believe that there is a mitzaveh. So there are 613 commands, but the idea that there is a mitzaveh, a commander, has to come first. So it can't be part of the list. It is a basic axiom that facilitates the list. I want to tie. That's what we'd say by the Rambam, as much as he says in Igeres Teman. You got to remember, Maamad. It says everything, all right? But it can't be counted as one of the Taryag mitzvahs. It can't be counted as one of the Taryag mitzvahs because it is an idea that precedes all the mitzvahs. It is the shorish of the mitzvahs. What the Ramban wants to tie about to defend the Bahag by God, existence of God. Right? That's what the Rambam would hold about Maamad Har Sinai. It's the reason you keep mitzvahs. So therefore, it is in the hierarchy of ideas. It is a more basic concept that mitzvahs branch out from. So it's not part of the list. It is the neshama of the list. Right? So now I'll give you a nafka. So now, first of all,
who is this? Hamafsik?
This is the Rambam's son.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm just going to now even though I'm building on the Maharal writes it black and white, I am going to give you a indication that the Rambam agrees. So first of all, there's a very famous line in the Rambam's Hilchos Tshuva that the Rabbeinu Avram ben Rambam is building on, right? And that is at the very end of Hilchos Tshuva, the last parak is about lishma, serve God out of love, right? Yeah. How does the Rambam magdir it over there? Famous Rambam, Oseh Sa'emes Mipnei Shehu Emes. You do the truth because it's true. That's how the Rambam's magdir, keeping Torah for its own sake. Because it's true. Do the truth for truth's sake. Mashma, that the reason why we keep the Torah is because it's true. And Lishma means just keep because it's the truth. Right? So now there's an interesting nafkamina on this. Right? And we're going to read this inside in the Rabbeinu Avram ben Rambam, because if you wouldn't see it inside, you would never believe me that anyone ever wrote this.
Good.
Right?
Let's go. I got 5 minutes.
Ella afim nomar. Sorry, by the underline. Ella afim nomar. He brings this Rambam. Let's say God would punish you if you keep mitzvahs. Let's say God says, I want you to shake lulav. Every time you shake lulav, I put you in Gehenna.
Okay.
Right? It means mitzvahs are what I want you to do, and if not, I punish you. Right? I mean, excuse me, and if you do it, I punish you. So the guy who is in it lishma, because it's the truth, would also keep mitzvahs anyway. God, and even if God wouldn't punish you for transgressing mitzvahs, right? You still would not transgress the mitzvahs, the averos, even though God would not punish you. This darga of faithfulness to God is the madrega called Oav Hashem. V'oramru Chazal Shuav Me'ava Ushech Midazu Dibra Tigrus Isach Bar Matu Kavar Shazar Amnas Kabros Kavar Shazar Amnas Shalola Kabel Pras Kvar Birzos Abamari Babilam Seches Beper Shamisha Ubesof Hilchos Tshuva Besefer Hamada. Right, so he says that you had a Hilchos Tshuva. Say, Mom, when the Rambam said, "Do it because it's true. Do it because it's true." Right? So if you keep Torah because it's the truth, that means that Schar Baruch is totally inconsequential. So if God says mitzvahs are what I want you to do, and if you do what I want you to do, I'm going to punish you. And Averis is what I don't want you to do. And if you transgress, I'm going to reward you. Yeah. You would still keep Torah and mitzvahs because it's true. Mm-hmm. Now listen, that all makes sense if Torah is an a priori per forth truth, and that's what to serve Torah, do Torah for its own sake means. Like he says, he invokes the Rambam, he invokes Torah. Oses b'pnei shu emes. You understand that we could argue that if it's all because of Naasev and Nishma, I didn't sign up for that. Yeah. I did not sign up for that. Right? I did not sign up for that. When I said Naasev and Nishma, there was an agreement. Right? So so of course according to the definition of lishma, if the whole reason is because we accepted it, is we're not going to do it because of the reward and the punishment. We're going to focus on because it's our commitment to God. It's our commitment. Right? But if God would now come and change the rule, not that He would. He says earlier, not that God ever would. It's a theoretical question of where your values are. Theoretical question, right? That you would only suffer for upholding the Torah, and you would only come out ahead for not upholding the Torah. What would you do? Right? Well, nafka means, if Torah is just, it's the truth, right? Okay, so you'll keep it anyway, right? And it's because we made a commitment. You understand that, of course, even though we should put the focus on our commitment and not on what we gained from it, but listen, I didn't sign up for this. You could argue as such. And that, of course, kimu v'kiblu, naasev and nishma, right? The lishma, according to that definition, would mean that I put my focus on upholding my end of the bargain as opposed to what I have to gain.
So what's the chiluk between the two sides?
No, I'm just saying you could hear. First of all, you guys are very frum, obviously, because this Sefer HaMaspik, didn't bother. Whenever I teach this, people go into shock. Like, no way would no way I would keep Torah and get nothing out of it. Most people, the reaction is very harsh.
Chicken without a
right?
heart. This is like a theoretical chicken without a
No, it will never happen. He says it will never happen.
It's theoretical. It's not.
I'm just saying, it's just a smach, and it could be another nafkamina, that this very harsh definition of lishma,
but
it makes sense.
It doesn't make sense because Hashem wouldn't.
He wouldn't do it anyway.
From our understanding, he wouldn't be doing it.
He wouldn't do it.
From our understanding.
But he asked, but if he would, where would you stand?
We'd be stuck.
Where would you stand?
Really
So he said, because if it's all about, because Torah is just the truth, all right, so fine. There is no other reality and there is no other option. I'm just saying, this all makes, he first of all, he is referencing that famous statement of the Rambam, just because it's true, right? And so, Masha, this all stems with the Maharal's way, that we are obligated to keep Torah because it is just a self-evident truth. There is no other option. Nasser, this was just nice on our part, but it's not the binding mechanism, right? And that way of thinking it's easier to hear what he's saying over here, that even if you would only suffer in this world and the next for keeping Torah, you would still keep the Torah.
Yes.
Right.
In this world and next world?
That's right. Yes.
I thought it was only.
No.
That's why I'm saying this doesn't make sense.
That's already a different story. Okay. Now I know why you were wondering why.
But this doesn't make sense.
No, you mean only suffer. You would only. Now, of course, he says earlier in the paragraph, there's a theoretical question. God won't do this because why should God do this? He is wise and he's kind, but a theoretical question of as far as where your values are. Now, you would only suffer both in this world and the next for keeping Torah. God says, I am, would you still do it?
Okay, good. Are you done?
I'm done.
Excellent.
All right, fine. Okay, so we'll go back to doing a safer inside, but I thought you'd enjoy it.
We did enjoy it. I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
I can't speak to it.
Right.
I did enjoy it.
I saw when we were starting off the first line that I would enjoy it, even though you didn't get into it.